Sure. So defense conversion was an idea that circulated first around the 1960s, late 1950s, early 1960s, in response to the proliferation of nuclear weapons in the United States and after World War II, and also the larger expansion of the national security state and the military-industrial complex after 1945, that is World War II. And the idea was essentially, and there are debates about this, but the idea was essentially to take America's massive military enterprise and convert that to social purposes, i.e., like, development in eventually what's called green jobs, environmental projects, taking just cuts to the defense budget or just cutting it all together by massive amounts, billions of dollars, and sending that into social welfare programs, i.e., universal health care, right? I.e., higher wages, for all workers, full employment.
What Hillary Clinton would call a pony.
Maybe. So yeah, I mean, that's the idea. It really takes hold in the 60s. And the reason why I think is because it's really only a couple of years where it starts to have currency in the 60s was between 62 and 63, because you have like the sort of the Cold War not being so hot at that point. Like the Cold War is obviously not cold, but not as hot at that point. But then comes Vietnam, and then that kind of destroys this idea. But it gets brought back in the 1980s in response to Reagan's efforts to expand. And he does expand the military-industrial complex and then try to get America off defense spending, essentially, as really a means of, like, and this is sort of the point, like, as a means to provide jobs, as a means to provide healthcare, right? And the idea of the military being the institution that provides social democracy in the United States, which I think is something that really takes hold after the 70s, but we can get into this later. But I think that's the overall point. So conversion was, and still around. I think certainly you have like new groups talking about this to a certain extent, maybe not in the same terms, but conversion was around in the 80s and then 90s after the end of the Cold War, where this was really the moment where we thought we could actually get us off the military-industrial complex because we don't have to fight this Cold War anymore. It's the end of history kind of thing. Then that gets destroyed and defeated for many reasons that we can get into too. But that's the idea: taking military spending, converting it into social welfare purposes, converting it into green jobs, i.e., like the Green New Deal, things that AOC and others have talked about. But yeah, I don't think that's going to be on the discussion or the table for discussion tonight at all.